Hey you guys, Lark from Wellington. Today we are going to be talking about some of the key personalities that you need to keep an eye on in the crypto space. These are some of the top minds that have been developing and moving the crypto space forward. We're going to be looking at all those people after a quick shout out to everyone who has been hitting that like button, everybody who has been subscribing to the channel. Are you subscribed yet? There's a button just right there. And of course, if you want to support me over on Patreon or follow me along on steemit.com, that would be supremely awesome as well. And of course, this is not professional financial advice, guys. That's just a dude talking about cryptocurrencies. Let's check it out. So, the minds driving the crypto space are amazing. The people behind this are amazing. And today we're just talking about the people who are really moving in the tech here. We're not talking about people who are just investors, people like Roger Ver, for example. Yeah, he's made a lot of money. Tim Draper, yeah, he's made a lot of money. That's great. I'm super stoked for those guys, and I'm glad people like Roger Ver are out there, evangelizing about Bitcoin and making tons of money on it. That's fantastic. But I want to talk about some of the people who have really brought the space forward, who are really doing amazing things. And look, this is by no means at all a comprehensive list. There are so many great minds in the space. There are so many people doing so many amazing projects. It's impossible to keep up with. And a few of the names we're going to talk about today, yeah, you guys probably already aware of these names, especially you guys who've been around the space for a while. Might be a few new names here for you, I hope so. But, for anyone who's new to the space, these are the people that you need to be aware of. So, let's check it out. Now, the first one, of course, has to be Satoshi Nakamoto himself, or theirselves, or herself. Nobody knows. Nobody knows who Satoshi was. This is the great mystery of Bitcoin, which I think is kind of a fantastic story about Bitcoin in of itself. Of course, because we don't know exactly who he is, the theories just run wild. Just run wild. Now, of course, it's estimated he has up to 1 million Bitcoin, according to some. Of course, is it a CIA conspiracy? Is he dead? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. And I think that's the fantastic part of it. In a way, if Satoshi was out there doing, daily interviews on CNN and stuff, it just wouldn't be the same. Whoever it is, they designed it, they stepped back, and they walked away. Maybe they get hit by a bus. I don't know. But if they are still out there, that's got to be hard to not step forward and say, hey guys, by the way, I'm Satoshi. Maybe they'll do that in 10, 15, 20 years. Maybe they'll never do that. Maybe it was the, Satoshi Nakamoto was the Batman of blockchain. It's the person that we needed at the time that we needed them, not the person we deserved. Okay. Vitalik. You got to talk about Vitalik anytime you talk about people in the crypto space. This dude has been massive in the crypto space. Ethereum has been massive. And look, in any conversation we have about this, you have to account for all the people behind people like Vitalik. So many minds go into making Ethereum what it is. So many other developers that you're never going to know the name of, you're never going to care about. He's the front man of Ethereum. And he's done amazing work moving it forward, continuing to update it, pushing it forward. Obviously, we've just had the hard fork the other day. Went off without a hitch. Totally awesome. So Vitaliks worked, of course, really strongly pushing Ethereum, but he's also advised some of our other favorite projects like Omise Go. So he was even meeting with the Bank of Thailand, for example, in coordination with the guys from Omise Go. So if you see Vitalik supporting a project like Omise Go, take note. And he's also behind the Kyber network. And I haven't had a chance to review Kyber network. It's on the list, guys. It's coming. It's coming. But you can see he's got a good eye for projects. He's a good advisor and a really amazing mind in the space. And, to see this fairly goofy dude cruising around, meeting presidents, meeting with central banks, doing all this stuff, wearing unicorn t-shirts. This guy's awesome. This guy's awesome, and that's amazing to see the kind of minds that are coming into the space. You know, in 20 years time, you know, Vitalik, he already is a Steve Jobs-like character, and he may, you know, continue that into the future, you know, being some eccentric computer guy, which is awesome, which is totally awesome. He is also involved with the guys over at WeTrust. He came out a few days ago and said, yes, I'm involved with WeTrust. I'm helping advise them as well. And the nice thing is he doesn't take, you know, a bounty for being involved in these projects. They have paid him tokens, and he donates that all to charity, of course, because how many Lamborghinis do you need? Seriously, if you're the founder of Ethereum, you got enough Lambos. You got enough Lambos here, guys. Okay, next, Charles Hoskinson. Now, this may be a name that some of you who have been around for a while know. Some of you new to the space, this may be a new name to you. Charles has been in the space for quite a while. He was one of the original CEOs over at the Ethereum Foundation. He's worked in coordination with the guys at BitShares. Guess there's a bit of falling out between him and Dan Larimer. You know, what are you going to do? Get all these great minds in one place. Sometimes there's not enough room for everybody, I guess. But he has been pushing forward some absolutely amazing projects recently. And that amazing project in particular is Cardano. Now, this is going to be a big player in the smart contract blockchain space. So a really exciting project that we've seen coming out here from Charles Hoskinson. He's been a big enthusiast as well of Ethereum Classic and, you know, staying true to the code, which I did a video on the Ethereum Classic Ethereum split, and Charles stayed true to the code. Vitalik didn't. And that's where the split happened. So I don't know what side of the debate you fall on there, but Charles Hoskinson went on supporting Ethereum Classic, and they've now moved on to Cardano, which is a very exciting project. They brought a whole bunch of academics, engineers, mathematicians, brightest minds in the world in, sat them down and said, guys, make the best thing possible. And that's what they're doing. Of course, the roadmap hasn't been released yet. We're still waiting to see some more from the guys over at Cardano, but it's a very exciting project on the face of it. Charlie Lee! Charlie Lee may be one of the more exciting characters absolutely in the space. This guy loves Twitter. He is a Twitter crazy man. If you want to be entertained, follow Charlie Lee on Twitter. He's constantly posting stuff and talking to people, and Charlie Lee's really, really interesting to follow. Definitely be checking him out if you are not following him yet. Of course, he is the creator of Litecoin, one of everybody's favorite little coins. Oh, Litecoin, we love you. And of course, he worked for quite a while over at Coinbase before he decided to go full-time on Litecoin, which I think was a very good decision. We've seen some really exciting features added to Litecoin in recent time. And of course, I saw an interview recently where Charlie Lee is even looking at adding privacy features into Litecoin. Can we see a ZK snark coming on Litecoin in the future? Maybe. Maybe. Or another privacy feature. He hasn't decided what that is yet, but he's definitely looking at it. So continuing to innovate in the space. And it's nice to see that something like Litecoin can be so innovative when something like Bitcoin has such a deep trouble trying to change and is so anti-innovation sometimes because of all the miners and corporate interests that are involved in the Bitcoin picture. But that's a whole other story for another day. Okay, next up is Dan Larimer. Dan Larimer and his cat. I think it's the cat who's doing all the amazing projects, actually. Dan's just the front man. Now look, Dan Larimer is an absolute genius. If you're not aware of who Dan Larimer is, he designed BitShares. He came up with delegated proof of stake. You may be familiar with that if you are, for example, staking your Lisk. He came up with delegated proof of stake. He was also behind Steemit. So he pushed the Steem platform forward. And more importantly, currently, he is working on EOS, which is going to be a super exciting blockchain project when they get done with their 1-year ICO, which is still a long way away. Still a long way away, but it's coming, guys. It's coming. EOS is coming. The tokens are actually at a pretty damn good price right now. I've finally started adding to my EOS portfolio now that they're down at like 55 cents or whatever they're at. Haven't looked recently, but they're right around there. So keep an eye out for that one. It's got the right guy behind it, a real innovator in the space. So keep an eye out for EOS, guys. Okay, next we have Max Kordek. I wanted to mention Max because Lisk has been getting so much attention recently, and Lisk is actually a really great project where, you know, they've got this beautiful platform for making dApps. They're undergoing the rebranding at the moment, and he's been lending his support to projects like the guys over at Sonam, which of course would be a giant competition for Golem and the other supercomputer Elastic, really for Golem, if we want to be serious about it. So he is, of course, another great mind to keep an eye on. Again, follow these people on Twitter. Keep an eye out with what they're doing, who they're talking to, what's going on, if you want to stay involved with the news. Okay, we have to talk about Da Hongfei, the CEO of on-chain, but also the founder of Neo. Of course, we all are big Neo enthusiasts. Neo is one of the most exciting projects right now, still massively undervalued. Amazing mind, got a good inside track on what's going on in China. Now, one thing to note, his last Twitter was from September 5th. So I have a feeling that he may have been told, hey, just cut out that Twitter for a little while. This, of course, was right around the time of all the big China drama. He even said, hey, thanks for all the jailbreaking service offers I received. I'm okay. Expect official announcement in the coming days. Neo is going to come big time. I think it's hard to put a time limit on it. Will we see something just after this big Chinese Communist Party meeting that's going on in Beijing at the moment? Will we see some announcements following that immediately? I'm not sure. But definitely China's going to come back. China's going to come back big time. In the smart economy, Neo is going to be right at the center of all that. And of course, you know, Da Hongfei will be a major player in the space in China. Just keep your eyes on him, guys. And of course, he's been working with the guys over at Loopring as well, which is, again, a very powerful project which will help be the protocol which will power decentralized exchanges. Very cool stuff. Next, we have Colin Cantrell. Now, you may not be familiar with Colin, but I think he's a real revolutionary mind in the space. He is behind the project Nexus Earth. Nexus is a fantastically interesting project. They have quantum resistant blockchain, mass scalability. They're putting satellites into space. They want to create a blockchain that will be outside of the reach of anyone. Computers won't be able to hack it. I mean, I guess short of the government sending up, you know, missiles into space or, I don't know, attack satellites, whatever we might come up with, to take out the Nexus satellites, they're not going to be able to just shut it down. Really interesting innovations going on over at Nexus. Highly influenced by deep philosophical ideas and very interesting. If you haven't looked in the Nexus project yet, I've done a video on it. Go check that out. Colin Cantrell is the man behind that. Did you know there are women also in the blockchain space? Surprise! No, I'm being silly, of course, but there are actually some women who are doing some really amazing projects and who over the years have added in really amazing contributions to the space. But I want to talk about a few of the women who are, you know, really at the heads of some amazing projects today. First one is Kathleen Brightman. She is the co-founder of Tasos. You might say, Lark, what the heck's Tasos? Tasos, new decentralized blockchain. Watch out for this one. This was an unimaginably successful ICO. I mean, they raised 365,000 Bitcoin, 361,000 Ethereum. Holy cow. Holy cow. When they come out, when they start running their blockchain, it's going to be top runner in the space. I think we're going to really see a consolidation of these smart contract blockchain platforms. Tasos, EOS, Cardano, Ethereum. They're going to be the major players, and they'll be the ones that capture the majority of the business. I know there's a lot of other smart contract players out there. I know there's a lot of other blockchains out there, but this is going to be a big one, and she is right at the forefront of that. So a strong woman, a smart woman at the head of a really interesting company over there in Silicon Valley. Okay. Next up, we have Toni Lane Casserly. Now, I wanted to mention Toni Lane because she's actually the co-founder of Cointelegraph. And I just think that's important to mention because how much of our news do we all get from Cointelegraph? A heck of a lot. A heck of a lot. Now, she's also been advising on a lot of other things. She is running the blockchain faculty as well. So looking at focus on creating abundant life for the planet at large. That's great. Great idea. Of course, she's also advisor on a lot of different projects, but interesting person to keep an eye on in the space as well. And the last person we really need to talk about here is Galia Benartzi. Sorry, Galia, if I got your name wrong. Now, Galia doing very interesting things. She, of course, is over at Bancor, the co-founder of Bancor. Now, Bancor, of course, is a protocol kind of in the same category as Loopring. So it's a protocol that's going to allow the trading of tokens across networks and things like that. So very interesting project. Bancor, there's a few projects similar to it at the moment. Gotta keep that real. Bancor, Loopring, right? But she's right at the core of one of the really interesting ones, and that's Bancor. Bancor's been around for a little while, and it's been, of course, if you've been keeping an eye on Bancor, has been performing really well in the space. Here's a really interesting talk by her as well. I would recommend you come and check this out. It's called The Value Revolution. It's a TED Talk about how blockchain will change money in the world. It's really interesting. You should come check it out. It's a nice little rundown. It's also a great presentation by her as well. So definitely a talk worth having a look at. And the last thing I would like to mention is this. There are so many people out there in the blockchain space who you will never even hear about. And look, I've told you about some famous names today. I think you probably already knew some of them. Satoshi and Vitalik, right? Some of the other names down the list, you've probably never even heard of them before. Unless you're a big enthusiast of that particular project or that particular coin. But these are some of the really big minds in the space. But for every big mind, for every person at the forefront of something, there are teams of developers working behind them, making this revolution happen. All these amazing minds, these amazing young people from all around the world who are enthusiastic, who are getting involved, who are creating the blockchains and the technologies that are going to revolutionize our world, guys. So my hat that I'm not wearing off to those people who are out there, working the long hours, developing these projects, which we all love so much. And just a reminder as well to us that it goes so much beyond the investing. I know we all get excited about the money, guys, but these projects are changing the way the world works. These projects are changing the way money works. This blockchain technology is going to change the way governance and basically everything works. So thank you to all those people out there who are involved in doing and putting their time and energy in. Thank you so much for tuning in. Long live the blockchain, and peace out next time, guys.